Sorted. I've got my tea, you've got your coffee.
Coffee sorted. Love that.
How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Box to Box. Hope everyone is all good and all well out there. First and foremost, hit the like button. Let's get the likes up. We've got a big one this Sunday at the Emirates. It's Brighton, 4:30 kickoff UK time. And it could be even bigger. Manchester City are away to Everton just before our game. If they drop points, then who knows? Who knows what this end of season
Don't talk to me about Everton, mate.
Oh, yeah, we've got that to talk about too. And I've got Ryan with me, as always, people. Ryan representing Brighton and Seagull Socials and TSR. You're doing a bit, innit?
Yeah, quite a lot going on at the moment, mate. But yeah, good to be back on.
Yeah.
I said to you off air that this is, I think, the biggest box-to-box that we've done in terms of where our squads are at. I'm in a situation where we've just been smashed by Everton, and obviously we've got that 3-1 against Forest. We've struggled against teams below us.
Yeah.
Now we're to play a team that's in the top two, and all of a sudden it's different again. So I don't know where my head's at with the team at the moment. So it's really interesting.
Well, let's start with Everton. What happened against Everton? Because that surprised the whole football world, I'd say.
That's the $1 million question, mate. What happened against Everton? I honestly... It was one of the craziest games I've seen live. The situation the club was in, we've won 6-0 against Wolves, we've won 1-0 against United, dramatic fashion, last minute penalty. And then we come up against Everton and, you know, they're a side that's I think they were 18th going into that. Relegation there, pretty much, you know, on the bet really. And I said, look, Everton, what we've got to worry about? Quite a lot, 30 seconds in, and you straight away, bang, 1-0. Decore, I think he got a great volley, 2-0. Steele had a howler, 3-0. And then all of a sudden it's 4-1, then it's 5-1, and yeah, it was just a complete... I haven't seen Brighton been blown away like that in
this season.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Well, what do you put it down to? I mean, was it some of the rotation involved, or...?
Yeah, it's legs. I mean, we were saying this as well, that, you know, you've got your Man Cities that have the rotation, they've got the squad depth. You know, if they've got they've had, say, big games, if they're on their third of the week or whatever, they can put in Riyad Mahrez or they can put in Phil Foden, and they're world-class players. If we're in that situation, we've got Billy Gilmore came in, did a good job, but then Billy Gilmore had to be rested. Who comes in next? I don't know. We haven't got a right back, we've been on fourth choice right back. We had Gross there. Gross, great playmaker, but there's no legs at the back. You know, so we were getting done for legs every single time, and it was the same as what happened at Forest. It was we were just completely running to the ground. Solly obviously got injured for the fourth. And I think it's one of those where you realise the size, not the size of the squad, but more so the strength and depth and where we're at to where we want to be. It's a bit of a reality check, but...
A little bit off topic, but considering we play you this weekend and City play Everton, do you think there's a chance Everton can get something from City there on the home side?
It's the Premier League. You know, it's the Premier League. It's been a really weird season. You know, it's been a really weird season. You've got Leicester down there, lost 5-3. Yeah. It was 21 goals in 3 games the other day.
That Monday night.
And Leicester, you know, they're a team that you would have associated to being, you know, top 7, top 8 probably this season, mid-table. Yeah. Their relegation, they look pretty much like they're going to go down. Forest probably might even stay up now. Yeah. Everton, that 5-1 win against us probably will be enough to give them enough confidence. And you've got Leicester down there. So I think that it's just been a mad season. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't see it, but I wouldn't be surprised. You never know now.
You do never know. And as much as it's a big game for us Sunday to keep up the pressure on Manchester City, regardless of the result against Everton, it's a big one for you as well, because going into that Everton game, there was still slim hopes of a top 4 finish with Man United losing the day before. In my opinion, that loss pretty much ends the top 4 hopes. But a Europa League place finish, is that still on the cards? Europa
League, I'd like to hope. Yeah, Champions League's a shame. Like, I don't think it was ever in our minds, really. But when you win 6-0, then you win 1-0, and you're like, United lose. Liverpool, we've done Liverpool twice, you know, we could do. And then you start thinking, and then... So I think, it's one of those where it is what it is. But the Europa League would be still a dream. If you offered me that at the beginning of the season, it's a dream. But again, you see so many teams that do it, and it's a big gamble. It can end the team. Leicester were there last year. You had West Ham there last year or the year before. So, you know, it's not. It might be a great destination, but we need to then consolidate for next season. Obviously, we've got João Pedro, James Milner's coming in as well.
Good signing, Pedro.
Good signings.
Are you happy with the Milner deal? Because the experience.
Experience, versatility, going to be good in the coaching staff probably if he stays. Him and Lallana are great leaders, so you need that, especially in big games. You get to the semi-final, you see what happened, you know. So It's going to be, I think Europa League's great, would be amazing. Next season's going to be we need to try and make sure that we don't slip up, because that's that 20%.
Even a Conference League finish. I mean, I know a lot of people tend to look down on the Conference League, especially from the Big Six club. But the Conference League would be a fantastic achievement for Brighton. I want to ask you, what's the key to Brighton's success? Because last season, a lot of people looked at Graham Potter as the key behind it, but this season, him having moved to Chelsea, De Zerbi coming in, not only have you maintained the positive, good football that you showed under Potter, but you've built upon it. Yeah,
it's Tony Bloom. There's so many people that Todd Bowley took from us. Everything, everyone, every staff, every player, everything.
Yeah.
But he didn't take Tony Bloom. Yeah. And look what's happened. And I think that's almost a message for the rest of the Premier League as well. Look, you've got Caicedo, McAllister linked to everybody. I think you were put 75 million in January. Look, if he goes, he goes. You get another one in. I think that's what's the good thing. You can't do it forever. There will be a point where it dries up. But I think that the in-depth sort of structure that Tony Bloom's built, and I've said it so many times, is insane. It's insane. We've got one of the biggest scouting networks in Europe, and that goes across to obviously South America. We brought Mitoma in from Japan. You got
very good signing.
It's mad. Julio's come straight away from Paraguay. So what player comes over at 18 years old from Paraguayan league and starts scoring in the Premier League? It's a mad thought, right? But that's Tony Bloom. He's built this structure. Great. De Zerbi. When we lost Potter, it was, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Next,
Everyone looked at us as though we're going down. And
everyone thought it was going to unravel.
Going down to that sort of 15th spot where we were before. But, we've come and we're better. De Zerbi's better. It's proven. And it's going to be interesting next season because, I think he will stay, I hope. And he is a great manager, don't get me wrong, but Tony Bloom's the reason.
But you say you hope. What's it looking like with De Zerbi? Is there interest from a Tottenham or...?
It's going to be interest though, right? I'm interested in Kylian Mbappe. You know what I mean? And it's not going to happen. So, I don't think that just because there's interest he's going to go. I'd like to hope someone of his intelligence, seeing what's happened to everybody else, what he's doing here. I know, ignore Everton. If we go and get smashed by you, then we don't ignore Everton. But we ignore Everton for now. And look at this season, it's been an amazing season. It's the best I've ever seen. It wasn't ongoing squads getting bantered that we're going down to League One again. Yeah. And now I'm talking about getting into Europa League, Champions League. Not Champions League.
Come a long way,
Europa League. And I think it's been mad. So I don't think that we should be worried about De Zerbi going as such, but we should be worried about the squad for next season, what happens next.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the name as well that we made a bid for in January, Moises Caicedo. A big bid in January, but you at Brighton had no interest in selling him. He shortly after signed a new contract, but the rumours seem to be lighting up again and coming towards the end of this season. On your end, is that interest real? Do you potentially see him leaving this summer with that new contract being signed, or...?
The thing I always say to people is it depends if anyone spends the money. I think that's what ultimately down to Caicedo particularly. Yeah. If people are going to spend the money, because realistically the club wants something like 80 million to 100 million, which is an obscene figure, right? It's an obscene figure, but he is a great player and the club rate him really highly. Yeah. And he's a great kid to put to it. Obviously the stuff that happened in January with the statement on his Twitter and all this, it was his agent, right? At least that's what everyone says. I can't say that, right? But it was his agent that everyone thinks.
It wouldn't be surprising.
If that's the case, right, and it is his agent that's done all that, then he signs a new contract, say he's even got a little bit of a, but you get to do this X, Y, Z in the summer. I'd still think that it's going to be 80, 85, 90 million that's going to take it, because why would we want to sell a 21-year-old that's one of the most hot prospects in the league at the moment, especially if we get to Europa League. If we don't, that changes it. But I think McAllister won the World Cup, amazing. Probably dipped off form a little bit after the World Cup. Maybe put people away from it a little bit. I just can't see people spending... I can't see Liverpool spending the money. Maybe they will, and they'll surprise me, and it is what it is. But I can't see them putting 75 million, 80 million into McAllister. I'd be shocked. We'll see.
Well, their dreams of Jude Bellingham pretty much been dashed. So maybe, maybe they will
possibly
go that extra yard for McAllister. Because I'm actually a fan of McAllister too. I think we need a new number 8 to compete and rotate with Granit Xhaka. And I've mentioned McAllister as a potential option. Obviously, the club seem to be going for Rice and potentially Caicedo. Neither of which I really see as a number 8. The number 8s, I find you need to be a bit proficient in the final third, and Caicedo and Rice, for me, they're more traditional sixes than anything.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that, he's a 6 into an 8 rather than I direct one or the other. I think what Caicedo's great at is his sort of versatility all the way across midfield. You saw him at right back against Manchester United. Played probably one of the best games I've seen as a right back this season. And great, right? He's a great versatile player. But yes, you're right. When it comes to going forward, particularly Alexis McAllister's finishing is pretty horrendous. I think he's got one of the worst expected goal conversions in the league or something crazy like that. And it's not surprising. If you see him in front of goal.
Maybe I don't want him.
If you see him in front of goal, he's not a traditional 10. He's great in midfield, great on the ball, fantastic range of passing, vision, creating chances.
And an engine as well.
All that you want. But maybe when it comes to scoring goals, he scored a lot of goals, 6 of them penalties. I think, he's a great sort of composed player. Probably if you wanted him on the edge of the box, banging them in like you could on FIFA, probably doesn't happen as often in the Prem. But you never know. If he goes to a big club like Arsenal, who's doing really well under Mikel Arteta, things change. But you never know.
I mean, look, a couple of years ago, we got Ben White off you. Last summer, Basuma went over to Tottenham. You tend to recruit well. But this summer, if you were to lose 2 of your key midfield components in Caicedo and McAllister, I'm sure they'll be interested in Matoma. Are you still confident that Tony Bloom can and De Zerbi can work around that? Or would you ideally like to keep one of them at the very least?
I want to keep one of them. But I said this about Marc Cucurella last season. He's our player of the season, right? We had Basuma obviously go, as you mentioned. Ben White went a couple of years ago. And when we lost particularly Cucurella, I think we thought, oh my God, this guy's the best left back we've seen. And he's gone to Chelsea and he's horrendous, genuinely horrendous. I watched some of his games and I think, my God, that can't be the same guy. And then you see Estupinian, and arguably he's probably been an upgrade.
Very good.
15 million from Villarreal, been fantastic. So it's, again, we lost Basuma, bring Caicedo in, magic. So I don't think it's as cut and dry because we don't do like-for-like replacements for players. We do it as, we'll just tweak a system. And De Zerbi's system was double pivot. McAllister, Caicedo gets the best out of them, as everybody knows, breaking the lines, holding the ball at the back. Everybody knows the story of De Zerbi by now. It's probably a little bit boring for the viewers, a bit like how Matoma's got a thesis, right? But I think that for if we were to lose one of the two, if we were to lose both, we've got Yassine Ayari that people probably don't even know who his name is yet, but he's fantastic. Billy Gilmore, he won the Champions League with Chelsea. We've got good young players. They're 21, 19 years old. They're yet to come up yet.
It seems like a well-oiled revolving door, let's say,
Absolutely.
in terms of players coming in and players leaving. On the flip side, it seems that Reece Nelson's rejected the latest contract offer from Arsenal, and Brighton are one of the teams mentioned as potentially interested this summer. Is that someone you'd be interested to bring in?
I'd love him. I think he'd be great. I think he's a very technical sort of player. I'd like to see him. I mean, he did quite well against actually in the Cup, if you remember, when we beat you 3-1 at the Emirates, which is a game that we didn't deserve to win the game, but we ended up seeing that one off, which was unusual for us. But Reece Nelson would be great. Him and Solly March. I think Solly's had a great season. Obviously, he's injured now. But Reece Nelson would be good. But we'll see. It's early doors, isn't it, really? We've made early business. But him and João Pedro on either side as sort of back up to what we've already got in Matoma March. It's solid. It's what you need for, especially if you get to Europe.
And João Pedro, I think that's going to be a good signing for you guys.
I hope so.
Pretty much came out of nowhere. And you got the job done.
Shout out Fabrizio, he got it right. 30 million. I think it's rising to 35.
Okay, good deal.
But it's a great deal. It's I think it is the record, isn't it? Yeah, because I think 20 million for Adam Webster. It's a record signing for us. Mad. Never seen Brighton spend money like this before. Clearly, we're going a bit more serious. Looking for bigger targets that are ready now as well as in the future. I think it's not fear, but a know-how of the fact of what can happen when you get to Europe. And I think that we haven't spent the money in these years. Last summer, everyone was causing uproar because Potter didn't get backed. And then he went 6 games later. Does make you wonder a little bit in the conspiracy tinfoil hat moment there. And all of a sudden, De Zerbi's getting his men. But notoriously, Brighton do spend the money on new managers and they give them who they want. So hopefully, if De Zerbi's got his talent ID right, which I'm sure he has, João Pedro looks a great player. He's done well for Watford, only 21, versatile forward.
So the future looks bright, regardless of potential outgoings this summer. I think Brighton fans should be proud of what they've done so far.
Agreed.
And should be excited about the future. Looking at Arsenal a bit now, Ryan.
Yeah.
Last couple of games at the Emirates, you've actually beaten us, albeit one of them being the League Cup 3-1. The one that really hurt was towards the end of last season, 2-1. Trossard even got a goal against us. And that was part of dashing our top 4 hopes at the time. This season, we've kicked on. And as much as I feel like the title race, it's not over, but I think we slipped up against West Ham and Southampton and have opened the door for Manchester City now to take it. What do you make of Arteta's progress, Arsenal's progress? We've just talked about Brighton's future being bright. Arsenal have got a very young core as well. And, we've probably challenged for the league. I don't like saying ahead of schedule because a lot of fans are using that ahead of schedule thing now. But essentially, no one expected us to be challenging this season. What do you make of it all at Arsenal?
I think it's been pretty remarkable, to be honest, when the sort of way you were only last year before. I think that your first half against the Amex was fantastic. I thought you completely played us off the park for the first time in a long time at that moment where someone had come and actually proper dominated us, and we were thinking, oh my God, okay, only you and City were doing that to us. And that doesn't sound like that, because as Brighton fans, it's weird to talk about that, right? But it's true, because when the way we play is to hold the ball. You did that against us. I think Martinelli had some strings at times. Saka's a great player, as everybody knows, and you've got a great squad, and Martin Odegaard can make it tick. You're very physical with Thomas Partey. It's going to be an interesting one. I think if you go and spend some money in the summer, I think you will. I think everybody knows you will. You
have to,
There's no reason why you can't compete. I do honestly think that City will win the league now, if I'm honest. But I think that it sounds really defeatist, doesn't it, to say that you've done well to get there. But considering you weren't in the Champions League for 6 years, it's mad to say that you've gone from missing out all these times to then going second and you're disappointed that you didn't get first. And again, it's not to sound like a loser, but
not just second, how Ole finished second with United. It's second, actually pushing, leading first, and then now pushing that Newcastle win, which was a massive win for us. A lot of people, especially opposition fans, are looking at that game saying, this afternoon it's over. But Arsenal pulled out a clean sheet, we pulled out a 2-0 win. So do you see this potentially being the start of something special for Arsenal, as in maintaining there's no divine right to win the league, especially when you've got a Manchester City there, you've got Man United and Chelsea who spend a hell of a lot of money. Newcastle are now added into the mix too. But do you see this being sustainable for Arsenal now moving forward, building upon it and becoming one of the big boys again? Yes, we're big boys commercially and we always have been a big six side, but in terms of challenging for league titles and challenging for major honours, we haven't quite been there until this season.
I think I said all the way back when I did my first one on here was I really am a big fan of Arteta. And at that time everyone wanted him out.
I remember.
And I think that it's no coincidence that you've gone on this big upward trajectory. I think that it's been foreseeable. I think it's foreseeable. I don't see any reason why it can't continue. Let's say you've got to compete with Man City, and that's the biggest problem, and that's what every single team in the league, Liverpool for 5 years, struggled with, was that Liverpool by far were fantastic every single year for 5 years.
Team,
dominating. Salah was dominating. Mane, Firmino, dominating. But they still, Van Dijk, that team, but they still couldn't beat City. And it doesn't matter where you are, City are there. And I think that's the only shame. It's a bit like if you're a great player in that tens decade and you're going for the Ballon d'Or in an era of Ronaldo and Messi. Because they're just going to clean up because they're exceptionally good. And that's unfortunately what it is with Manchester City. If you win a league, amazing. I think that it's probably the most impressive time to win a Premier League title at the moment, if you can get in front of Manchester City.
Man City, their money, then you had Pep Guardiola in the mix, and now Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, it speaks for itself, right? So many factors that make them what they are now.
And I think if Arsenal are competing with that, yes, it sounds again defeatist, but it's true. And I think if you go and spend in the summer, as I think you will, Declan Rice, Caicedo, as much as I don't want him to go, would be a great player for you. You see Trossard go over to you, and I think he's done well from a distance.
He has.
And And I don't see why players are going to go to your system, your team, the way your manager is at the moment and flop. I couldn't see it. It's a bit like when, in that Liverpool era, if a player went to Klopp, they're probably not going to flop. It's a bit like if a player comes to De Zerbi now, you doubt they're going to flop. I think the same with Arteta. I can't see any reason why that system won't work.
Attention to detail with player recruitment's been well. Because when we signed Ben White, I just thought, what's this club doing? 50 million on Ben White?
I rated that signing at the time.
But I just didn't see and didn't understand why we went for him. But then 2 years on, he's actually one of my favourite players. I know he doesn't love football, but he's one of my favourite because he just comes on the pitch, he gets the job done, and he goes home. There's no
it's his job, right?
It's his job. And I don't mind that as long as you're performing for us. And he is. Ramsdale's another one I had doubts about. So you're right about these modern day managers and the attention to detail in recruitment and bringing in players that fit their system more so than bringing in players that the fans will.
And so much going at just one position. People will see it as, we need a holding midfielder, we need an attacker, we need a winger. It's not just getting a winger, is it? It's getting a player that's going to suit that system. It's suiting Arteta, it's suiting De Zerbi or Tony Bloom. Our system would change for a player. It moulds into it. It's not. De Zerbi said it himself. He's not fussed on positions. If a player should be able to play anywhere if they're good enough. And that's why it's so fluid and diverse, and that's why it works. Similarly with Pep, he won the league without a striker, and I think that it's the same for Arsenal. I don't see why you should just go for this and that and this and that. This is what suits Arteta, and I think he is on that level. He's
proven himself in the transfer window so far, in my opinion. Yes, there's been a few dodgy ones over the years, but
has to be.
Yeah, in the last
kind
couple,
of 100% hit rate.
100%, exactly. Well, one of the success stories you mentioned come over from you in January. Trossard, he has helped maintain a title charge. He's had great moments for Brighton. It probably ended on a sour note, so. I'm not sure yet whether he starts the game on Sunday or whether he comes off the bench. What will the reaction of the Brighton fans be?
I'll be there, and I'll probably clap him. I don't see why not. I think he caused an uproar. I don't think it was as bad as people made out. The media blew it up as if it was like some crazy, bust up with De Zerbi and all this. I think from what I've heard, not that I know anything right, I think it's a player that he's 28. We've got some great years out of him. He's wanted by Arsenal. They could win the league. January. He's given us time. We've had some great years out of him. Let him go. And
his contract would have ended this summer, if I'm not mistaken.
This summer, He had 18 months at the time, so maybe the summer after.
A year left.
So I think it's been good. I got to give credit where it's due. I didn't expect him to come in and give us many assists as he did. That was a surprise. The only thing that was always the question mark for Brighton fans is he's a good player, but his inconsistency and his attitude. He sort of gave up a lot. If it wasn't going his way, he would just be quiet for 20 matches and then he'd come back. And again, he hasn't really had the opportunity at Arsenal to prove whether he's still that player. But I've been impressed.
Do you think is he the sort of character to have something to prove against you this Sunday? I mean, do you want to see him start the game on Sunday, being an ex?
Probably not. No.
Okay.
I mean, why would I?
But then again, it's going to be Martinelli or Saka or Jesus. So our forward options are.
Yeah, of course, he's probably going to have something in for us, isn't he? Because if he's ex-player, only left in January, he's still chasing the title. I'd like to think he's hungry for it. And this is one thing that I had criticism of the Brighton thing, the other day with the 5-1. There shouldn't be a situation where we're chasing top 4, top 6, or you're chasing the title, and another team wants it more than you. That shouldn't happen because you shouldn't want it more than them. That shouldn't happen. And I think that Trossard, he probably will want it more than Martinelli, because what's Martinelli got to do with Brighton? Well, Trossard, he's going to want to get one over De Zerbi. He's going to want to get one over whoever he fell out with. I probably shouldn't say. So we'll see.
To be honest, Martinelli's chasing his own record with being the highest scoring Brazilian in the single Premier League campaign.
That's mad.
I think Firmino holds the record on 15. Martinelli's joined him on 15. Odegaard's on 15 now as well. If we're taking non-penalty goals into account, then Odegaard's matched De Bruyne in terms of goals from a midfielder in a Premier League season.
Mad.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Arsenal are coming along well. Main threat for you regarding Arsenal, who do you need to keep quiet this Sunday in order to get something?
Odegaard.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I think he makes everything work. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that no one else does, but I think if you can keep quiet sort of your main sort of creator, your playmaker, the one that the team is. You saw that assist at the Amex.
Yeah,
it was a joke. There was a point in the game where Brighton were coming back at you, and he pulled something like that off. Yes, it was a bad mistake from Sanchez, but it's a good assist. Keep him quiet. Obviously, you've got your obvious, your Sakas.
Yeah.
I still think Odegaard's the one to keep quiet, if I'm honest.
Yeah, recent games, he's scored 3 in the last 2, and he's been the one on 4. But all right, so we've done the key threat. We've talked about Brighton. We've talked about Arsenal. We talked about both futures. Let's talk about Sunday and get a prediction in. We start with the home team. Arsenal are the home team, and I think we should win the game. I'm not just looking at the Everton result and saying that's the reason we should win the game, because I don't think that was Brighton.
No.
But I think we should win the game to keep up the momentum regardless of the City result. Try and finish on 90 points if possible come the end of the season. 90 points is what the Invincibles finished on at the end of that season. So I think we get the win. I think it'll be a very good game. I think there's goals in the game. We tend to concede goals at home more so than we do away, and I think it's our home form that's tripped us up in terms of the title race, especially when you look at that Southampton 3-3. I'm going to go 3-2 Arsenal win.
3-2?
Yeah.
High scoring.
I was going to say 3-1, but I can see it being an end-to-end type of game.
Yeah,
3-2.
I agree. We've had a lot of big meetings with you, especially here.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, that one when Wepu scored, and that's so horrible about Enoch. But that moment was probably one of the best games I've watched him play, and it was such a great moment at the Emirates. I think we've got one of the best records here of an away team.
We've won the last 2. I mean, that's saying something.
And we've always ended your hopes without sounding like that. I think we took top 4 away from you twice, if I'm right in saying.
Yeah, there was the Emery year, I believe it was.
Yeah, the Basuma one where he laughed at you. I don't think he actually laughed at you.
And then last season where...
Yeah, and then last season where
Trossard
it was Trossard and Enoch.
Yeah.
So, for that reason, I have to be confident.
But Arsenal have done well this season, though, is throw narratives out the window in terms of away at Tottenham, away games in general, games against the Big Six side. Newcastle on Sunday, Arteta mentioned it after, revenge was in our minds going into that game. So there could be a bit of that mentality with you as well. I think it's come out that he used footage after the Newcastle game to motivate the team this time around. So I'm sure there's footage after the Brighton game last year to say the same. Yeah,
that's fair. Okay. With that in mind, I still want us to win. So I'm going to say 2-1. I think you'll score.
Okay.
But I've just got to be confident because I want us to bounce back.
2-1.
That's me.
I've gone 3-2. Listen, people, this has been Box to Box. You know what to do already. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Should Trossard start against his old club? Let us know. And number 3, make sure you follow up Ryan on his YouTube channel. That's in the title, and his socials as well. Ryan, let them know where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter at Ryan Adset, or Seagull Social, or TSR Football UK on Instagram. So yeah, cheers.
There you go. Ryan's doing big things. Ryan, it's been a pleasure talking to you, my guy.
Very good.
Good luck after the game on Sunday. We need the 3
We'll
points.
see.
We both do, to be honest.
It'll be a big game.
We'll see. Like I said, people, follow up Ryan, subscribe to his channel, show some love. Ryan is the Brighton regular on Box to Box, so hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you've hit the like button. Hopefully you're showing some support to Ryan. And let's go. Let's get the 3 points this Sunday. Love for the love, people. We're out. Peace.
Just to remind you about that big event live with an audience. And if you want to be in the audience, click the link in the description and get involved. Tickets selling fast for that event on the 23rd of May at the Islington Assembly Hall right here in North London. We're going to have loads of guests on the day as well. Talking about the Arsenal, you do not want to miss it, right? This podcast, it's a very special one. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be giving away a couple of tickets to it as well. But if you want to join us, get your tickets. They are selling fast. Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.